Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan, coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Federal Bank Prime Time Studios. First up, ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Narendra Modi setting up yet another benchmark. PM Modi has now become the world's most followed leader on social media platform X with over 100 million followers. Not just politicians, PM Modi also has more followers than many popular celebrities and sports personalities. He's among the top 10 overall, too, in that list. Veteran diplomat Vikram Misri has assumed charge as the Foreign Secretary, and this happened earlier in the day. An officer of the 1989 batch of the Indian Foreign Service, Vikram Misri has a rare distinction of serving as Private Secretary to 3 Prime Ministers. Vikram Misri has been India's former envoy to Beijing and is also an expert on China. Meanwhile, Bharat's defense exports have recorded a 30-fold quantum leap over the last 10 years, from 686 crore in 2013-14 to a record 21,083 crore rupees in 2023-24. This jump reflects the global acceptability of Bharat's defense products and technologies and that huge market that awaits our goods and services, especially from defense. Meanwhile, automobile exports from Bharat have increased by 15.5% year-on-year in the June quarter. Exports of passenger vehicles rose by 19%, while two-wheeler exports saw a 17% increase. Analysts have expressed optimism about the growth in exports, noting that it indicates a recovery in that sector. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's set up debate number one, conversation number one here on this edition of The Right Stand. How much more will there be denials? A medieval-era structure in Madhya Pradesh's Dhar district finds itself in the midst of an existential crisis. A structure that functions both as a temple and also now as a mosque is headed for a solution via the courts. And the courts are the ones who had actually ordered for a survey, a proper survey by the Archaeological Survey of India. The ASI, in the conclusion of its report, said, based on scientific investigations, survey and archaeological excavations conducted, based on sculptures and inscriptions, it can be said that the existing structure was made from parts of earlier temples. The report also said that as human and animal figures are not permitted in mosque at many places, such images have been chiseled out or defaced. The report also says that while the ASI studied Arabic and Persian inscriptions at the site, the ones in Sanskrit and Prakrit are much older, indicating that engravers of the Sanskrit and Prakrit inscriptions occupied this place earlier. The brief findings of this document run into about 9 pages, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got that. There are 51 points, each of them based on the stone, structure, the platform, everything, and also all the 4 sides in terms of the directions define what the Bhojshala actually is, the true nature, the original nature. And here, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, the Places of Worship Act 1991 does not actually apply because this is a heritage monument and it comes under the Archaeological Survey of India. The ASI studied a total of 94 scriptures, sculptural fragments, and also architectural members with sculptural depiction. Sculptures of 4 armed deities were carved on windows, pillars and beams used in the existing structure. Images carved on these included Ganesh, Brahma with his consorts, Narasimha, Bhairava, gods and goddesses, human and animal figures. Now, here's what that 2000-page report said. The brief findings are just the last 9 pages that we've got in front of us, which is a summary. Now, what does it say? Let's look at some of these points one by one. Sanskrit and Prakrit inscriptions were damaged or perhaps reused. Pillars of pre-existing temple reused for the purpose of a mosque. Remains of sculptures of Ganesh and other Hindu gods have been found there. Hindu gods remains of 94 sculptures found during investigation. Images of Ganesh, Brahma and other gods and goddesses also present. Human and animal figures were chiseled out or defaced. Pre-existing structure dates back to the Paramara dynasty. Sarvabhauma or Bhoja, Raja Bhoja of the Paramar dynasty. The ASI began the survey on the 22nd of March 2024 with a team of a dozen members accompanied by senior police and district administration officials. Now, these findings giving a fillip to the Hindu petitioners in this entire matter. Why? Because the Hindu community considers Bhojshala, a 11th century monument, as a temple of Vagdevi. while Muslim side calls it the Kamal Maula Mosque. For the last 21 years, under an arrangement made back in 2003, Hindus are allowed to worship in the Bhojshala on Tuesdays, while Muslims are allowed to offer namaz at the place on Fridays. The Hindu Front for Justice, the petitioner in the case, challenged this arrangement before the High Court to end that practice. Some core principles here apply. Vishnu Shankar Jain, Advocate, Supreme Court with us. Adil Hassan, spokesperson, AIMIM, joining us at just a moment. First, going across to Vishnu Shankar Jain. Vishnu Jain, namaste. Thank you for your time. Now, please tell us, what does the ASI findings actually allow you to go and submit in front of the court? How convincing or clinching is this?
See, the most important finding of the ASI in my mind is paragraph 50 of this report, wherein the ASI has gone on to say, and I quote, there is an inscription which is found in this particular area, which goes to show that there was a pre-existing temple which was demolished. And what is the ASI saying? I am quoting: the brave man reached from center of religion in this old monastery with crowd of people together, destroyed the effigies of idols, made this temple into mosque violently. This is not me who is saying, this is the report of the ASI. Apart from that, ASI has given a report that the pillars were pillars of Hindu temple, and the deities which were there in these pillars, they were defaced, mutilated, and they were used to convert it into a so-called mosque. ASI has also gone to say that there was a pre-existing temple which was of Hindu temple. One very important feature of the ASI is that ASI has found an inscription in this place which says Sharda Sadan. Sharda is you can say a different name for Ma Saraswati. So Sharda Sadan has also been found. There are many inscriptions and pillars which have been found to show that yes, this particular area was of a Hindu temple. Apart from that, very important feature is that we have found 31 coins. Apart from that, 94 sculptures have been found. During the survey, various idols of Hindu deities have been found. And this entire premise shows that this was a premise of a Hindu temple which is illegally used as a mosque. And as you rightly told in your opening statement, that against this arrangement of 7th of April 2003, we had challenged it before the Indore High Court with the perspective and with the legal research that the religious character of this place is of a Hindu temple and it cannot be used as a mosque. Because if the religious character, because under the ASI Act section 16 says that you cannot do anything inconsistent with the religious character of a premise. So the religious character of this premise is of a Hindu temple, and against the religious character, Anand, let me say with lot of sense of responsibility, you would have not seen an order like this in this country, where in the same place a person is offering puja and in the same place another party is offering namaz. Either it's a mosque or a temple. And that's why we went before the Honorable Indore High Court. After hearing both the sides, the ASI was given this task to ascertain that what is the religious character of this premises in question. And today I am very, very happy and grateful to the Archaeological Survey of India that after detailed scientific study, the truth of Bhojshala is out.
Right. Vishnu Jain, you refer to paragraph 50 of this entire brief findings. We've got that. It says verses 17-18 of the inscription of the Khilji king Mahmud Shah, dated to AH 859 or 1455 CE. This is the 15th century, ladies and gentlemen, 1455 CE, and fixed on the gateway of the tomb of Abdullah Shah Changal at Dhar. Epigraphia Indo-Muslimica 1909-10 mentions, this brave man reached from center of religion in this old monastery with crowd of people together, then destroyed the effigies of idols and made this temple into a mosque violently. This is what the inscription says on the pillar, and it says gateway of the tomb of Abdullah Shah Changal. On that itself, it actually glorifies what he has done. It glorifies the fact that he forcefully, violently made this temple into mosque violently, and more importantly, destroyed the effigies of idols. So this whole aspect of celebrating those who violently converted another place of worship into a place of Islamic worship. But Vishnu Shankar Jain, in paragraph number 42, It says that large inscription fixed in eastern colonnade contains two poems in Prakrit language consisting 109 stanzas each. The first of them is called the colophon or Avni Kurmasatam. Now, in this, further down, it actually dates this whole era into about 1094 or 1133 CE. That's paragraph number 48. Inscription refers to King Naravarman, ruled between 1094 to 1133 CE. So this is about the 11th century and 12th century. So more than 300 years before this happens, 1455 CE. But it also says that there are other engraved fine-grained basalt in the Nagari script dated to the 13th century CE. So does that mean that as continuing generations of the Parmar dynasty, the Bhojshala kept getting expansions and modifications? Is that fair to say? Does this ASI report also say that?
See, Anand, very rightly you have pointed out. One more paragraph I wanted to point out, that is paragraph number 43, which is very, very important.
Yeah.
It says these inscriptions start with the invocation of gods such as Om Saraswate Nama
and Om Namah Shivaya.
Where is it found, in which mosque it is found?
Vagdevi herself is the goddess of the tongue, goddess of speech, that is Saraswati.
Please see paragraph 36.
Yeah.
Please see paragraph 36. It says images carved on these include Ganesh, Brahma,
paragraph 36.
with the consorts of Narsimha, Bhairav, god and goddesses, human and animal figures. Images of animals in different mediums include lion, elephant, horse, dog, monkey, snake, dog, swan and bird. Mythical and composite figures include variety of human face, lion face, composite face, vyala of different shapes, etc.
Yeah.
This is mentioned in paragraph 36. So our case is that this is not a place of a mosque. This is a premise of a Hindu temple. So therefore, the Archaeological Survey of India, by passing the order of 7th of April 2003, was doing things which were inconsistent with its character.
Right. I've got Adil Hassan, Shahid Ali, advocate, Adil Hassan of the AIMIM. I'm Desh Ratan Nigam, political analyst and lawyer also joining us. Namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Adil Hassan, how would you respond to the ASI findings and something which is there evident for everybody? Now the ASI also confirming it, that the actual religious character of this heritage monument has been Hindu, or it has not been Islamic. It was not Islamic, it was non-Islamic. And there is a verse, the inscription says, destroyed the effigies of idol and made this temple into mosque violently. This is an inscription at the gate itself, and it goes back to 1455 CE. Yes, Adil.
My thing is that Supreme Court also rejected ASI report in Babri Masjid case. What is new that AIC, everybody knows that ASI is under government of India. Why every time BJP creates all these things? Because BJP have to focus on Ayodhya. What is happening in Ayodhya? No, everybody knows. But BJP knows Hindu, Muslim, and Vishnu Jain is expert in this. He have all the time for this Hindu, Muslim. Who ASI is directly under control the BJP government. Everybody, we will approach to the Honorable High Court, Supreme Court. We have all the way to go. But everybody knows in the Babri Masjid case, BJP, the Honorable Supreme Court categorically told that it was no sign of temple was there. It was, the judgment is on Astha. Everybody knows the reality. So what is the new in that?
Now, 1 minute, Adil Hussain, 1 minute. 1 minute. The Supreme Court judgment said it did not conclusively prove that it was a Ram temple or it was Ram Janmabhoomi.
Yes,
or
it is clear.
ASI,
yes.
आप बोल रहे थे, अब मेरे को the Supreme Court, 1 minute, the ASI report, Supreme Court judgment also took into consideration the ASI report, which said that the temple found
No.
1 minute. The temple. 1 minute. The final judgment quoted. The final judgment quoted the findings of the fact that there were temples, and there was an inscription says, "Here lies the king who draws his lineage from the Ikshvakus," and that he has the various avatars of Vishnu till Ram were also quoted, and those figurines were present there, and that the nature of the structure there was un-Islamic.
Un-Islamic.
Un-Islamic. And the nature of the structure
in
was
Supreme
very
Court, in
clearly
Babri Masjid
Hindu
case,
or Vaishnav. Sir, in
brother,
this case, 1 minute. In this case, Adil Hussain.
See,
1 minute, Adil Hussain. मैं आपको कह रहा हूँ. In this case, there is an inscription. Forget what BJP is doing. Forget what Vishnu Shankar Jain is doing. If you and me go to Bhojshala today, on any day, time of your choosing, there is a gateway to the tomb of Abdullah Shah Changal, on which the inscription very clearly says that this man destroyed a temple, destroyed idols, and converted a temple into a mosque violently. What would you like to say to that?
see, everybody knows in Babri Masjid judgment, ASI report was totally rejected by Honorable Supreme Court. We will approach to the Honorable High Court.
What
Supreme
would you
Court.
like
What is,
to say?
We know who ASI
What would you
is
like to
directly
say?
enrolled to the BJP
What would you like to
government.
say
Every
to a
officers
current
are becoming
present
puppet
inscription
before the BJP government?
for the last 900 years, since 1455
What?
to 2024, there is an inscription there
what?
which says that this man, Mahmud Shah Changal, Abdullah Shah Changal, destroyed the effigies of
I
idols,
can
made
also
this
make the
temple
report.
into a
I can
mosque
also make the
violently.
report. Sir, I can also there are several. See, there are several temples that were earlier Buddhist temple. Now they are not at the Buddhist temple. It is changed. You want to go in the history? You want to create the environment of fear?
No.
You want to create the environment
No,
of hatred in the country?
No, who's creating?
There are many temples in the present
who is
scenario in
creating?
India,
Who is
which was
creating
earlier
the
a
environment?
Buddhist
Adil
temple.
Hassan. When there is a inscription which clearly
Yeah,
says
go
that
what
this
Mr.
man
Sudarshan
converted
said,
a
what
temple
Mr.
forcefully by
Mohan Bhagwat
destroying
told.
effigies and idols, and the fact is
See,
where there is worship of
see,
another kind, where
we
there is
have
worship,
in
there
this
cannot be
country,
prayer.
Mr.
That
Anchor.
itself is mandated in the text, and
Mr.
scriptures
Anchor.
of Islam.
See,
In
just
the
listen to me.
texts and scriptures
Just
of
listen
Islam,
to me.
can
Just
you
listen
are
to
you
me,
allowed
please.
are you allowed
Just-
to go ahead and offer prayer where it is a which
Let me
which
speak.
belongs to a
Let
place
me
belongs to
speak.
another place? Secondly, how is it possible
Let me
that
speak,
the
please.
same place where there are prayers offered on Friday in terms of under the tenets of Islam, puja is offered on Tuesdays under the tenets of Hindu scriptures and Sanatan? Is that allowed? Is that allowed
Why
as
you
per
are
the
worrying about who
as per
allowed? Why
Islamic?
not you are-
Is
See,
that allowed as per
see.
Islamic norms? Please tell me.
Let me speak.
Ji.
Let me speak. It's up to the Supreme Court of India to decide the final verdict. TV studio are not supposed to give the verdict. My
Where
concern
am I
is that
giving
there
any
are
verdict?
many
I am
temples
asking you
in the
three
country
questions
which
which you have
was
not
earlier
answered,
Buddhist
sir.
temple.
Three questions which I am asking
No,
with
I am
respect to
answering
Bhojshala. You are not
categorically. There
answering.
are many temples
Three
presently
questions,
which are earlier
sir.
Buddhist temples.
Sir,
You
let-
want to go in the history?
No, so take it
You
out.
want to
Go
create
to the
the
court.
environment of fear,
Take
you
it
want
out.
to
Go to
create
the
the
court. The very
environment of
ASI which
hatred.
you are rubbishing today, get the court to mandate the ASI to go
ASI
and
is
do
directly
surveys
under the
there.
control of BJP.
Let
It
them
is
go
the
ahead. Let
puppet of
them.
BJP.
Arre, you are saying everything,
BJP
Adil
have
Hassan.
no agenda except
Adil
Mandir
Hassan. Adil
Masjid.
Hassan. Adil Hassan, you can say.
BJP have no agenda
can't
except
say-
Mandir Masjid.
No.
Only hatred because
No, well
it-
tried.
the
Well
government,
tried, sir.
the
Three
Janta
questions
gave
that I
the
have asked
verdict
you.
in Badrinath, in Ayodhya. You will get its result very soon. Don't worry.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute. You can resort to rhetoric if you are confused, confounded, and you are attempting to confuse, confound
No,
me
it's
and the
not
viewer.
rhetoric.
No,
It
you're
is
rhetoric.
reality. I am talking
Secondly,
the
sir,
reality of
the Lok
country.
Sabha seat, is
Hindu-Muslim will
called.
not work now.
1 minute.
You carry
Factually
on.
wrong. Factually wrong. The assembly seat of Ayodhya was not lost. The Lok Sabha seat of Faizabad, which was a combination of 5 constituencies,
Lok
was
Sabha
lost.
seat,
So
brother,
today,
Lok Sabha,
when
you
you
lost
had
whole Ayodhya.
when they wanted to reword Faizabad to Sri Ayodhya, you had a problem and you
What
went to
about
court saying
Badrinath?
don't do it. Now suddenly Ayodhya assembly constituency becomes
What about
Faizabad Lok
Badrinath
Sabha
then?
constituency for you. That's first, economical with the truth.
What
My
about
second
Badrinath
question,
then?
it is inscribed on the tomb of Abdullah Shah Changal at Dhar, at Bhojshala. Even today, right now, you and me can go and check. And it says that this man destroyed the effigies of idols, made this temple into a mosque violently. What do you say to that? That's
Let
my second
the
question.
con-
You
let
didn't
the
ask.
verdict of
You
court
didn't answer
come.
that
You
question.
want to-
Third
what
question,
is the-
sir.
what is the-
Is
what is
it
the use of
possible
worship
for
act
namaz
then?
to be offered at
What
the
is the
same
use of
place
worship act?
where puja is done 3 days
अरे
before namaz is offered?
1991 का Place of Worship Act का क्या है?
Sir, 1991. Again, fourth question that you are asking me again, again wrong about facts. The 1991
You want
places
the
of worship,
hatred, you want the
places of
bloodshed.
Places
You
of
want the
worship
hatred
act.
in the
Sir,
country. You want
do you
the
want it,
bloodshed
sir?
to
If you
come
don't
out.
want it, then why don't you give back what you're not supposed, what is not
No,
supposed
no,
to be,
you
what
and-
you're not
you
supposed to,
and
what is a
BJP
temple is a temple,
has
sir.
a
It was
core
destroyed
agenda of
violently,
hatred.
converted into a mosque. That's what the inscription says. I am asking you,
Achha,
sir,
who
the
was
fourth
Rana
point.
Sangha? Then ask
Places,
Mr. Manoj-
places
Mr.
of
Jain, who
places
was
of
Rana
worship act
Sangha?
1991, sir, omits and leaves out all those
Just ask
sites
Mr.
which
Jain, who was
are
Rana
deemed
Sangha then?
national heritage monuments under the Archaeological
You want
Survey
to
and
go
come
in the
under the
history?
Archaeological Survey of India. So, sir, Bhojshala is a national heritage monument, comes under the Archaeological Survey of India. It does not come under Places of Worship Act
My
1991.
dear
So, sir,
anchor,
five
you want to
questions,
go in the
five
history of
questions,
the
5
country,
points.
You want to play
Sir,
with the blood?
no, sir. Rhetoric is all right. Let's talk
You
facts.
want to-
Let's
you want
talk
the hatred,
information.
you
Let's
want the
talk
fear
facts. Let's talk
atmosphere.
reality. And if you are trying to look away from reality
We are
because you are
talking
not
of facts.
prepared or I have
Just
caught
ask
you,
who was Rana Sangha. There are
then
many
that is your
temples
problem, sir. 1
which
minute.
was earlier Buddhist
Will-
temple.
will-
I can challenge
Sir,
you. You
go
want
to the
discuss
court, sir.
everything
Go to the
like that.
court.
You want to
Go
bring
to the
hatred in
court.
country?
Go to the court. Call for ASI. I don't think there is any
What about the worship
Hindu
places of
entity
worship
or
act
any
then?
person or any Buddhist person, if he believes that this
about
used to
the
be a
places of
vihara and not
worship
a
act?
temple, we would like the vihara back. The Hindu Samaj, if it is proven right, will say go ahead and please take it because we don't have a problem. But you don't have a problem with an inscription there which you can go ahead and read saying this man and it's celebrating this man. Vishnu Shankar Jain. Before I go to Shahid Ali and Deshratan Nigam, Vishnu Shankar Jain.
And one more very, very important I want to draw your attention. Paragraph number 26.
Yeah.
It is very, very shocking and painful. What
Yeah.
does it say? Images carved on previous structure, pillars, pilasters, beams, windows were
26.
chopped off to reuse them into the present structure. In the large number of large size inscriptions in Sanskrit and Prakrit were damaged and reused. These large slabs of fine quality of stones were reused in floor or veneering of the walls by chiseling written surfaces. A number of inscriptions belonging to pre-existing structure have been noticed and copied from the existing structure. So the report is very, very clear, and this is not just a report, Anand. From naked eyes, it is very, very clear, which you are showing on your screen, that this is a part of Vedic gallery, this is a part of Hindu structure, and this has been wrongly given a shape of a mosque. So this is our plight. The Vedic gallery which you are showing, and it's the report of the ASI that on all these pillars the Hindu idols were there, they were defaced and mutilated.
Okay.
So I'm asking which kind of Mr. My friend from AIMIM, Adil Hassan, is saying that I'm saying Mandir Masjid. This is not the point, sir. You are using my temple as a mosque. For Bhojshala, so many people have.
We are not using
my
there
simple
is
point.
not-
My
See,
simple point here is.
process.
My simple point here is. Vishnu Shankar Jain is a Jain, and he is fighting this case. You have called him a Hindutvawadi and you have called him an agent of the BJP, all of that. But you have not been able to factually respond to me on 4 or 5 queries. Let me try with...
No, I am responding.
No. Let
Mr.
me try.
Anand, let me speak.
Let me ask you, Adil Hassan. A place where namaz is offered, can any other form of prayer or worship be done? Or a place where worship or puja is done, can that place 3 days later namaz be offered? Is it permissible as per the tenets of Islam? Adil Hassan.
See, Mr. Anand, I am in front of you, in front of camera. I am telling that we don't let the court decide. Let the court give its verdict. Why you are giving all the judgment on ASI report?
No, but the court gave its
ASI is directly under control of Cultural Ministry and Government of India. We know what the BJP agenda
court
is.
gave its verdict on
In the Babri
in the
Masjid
case of
case, the
alimony,
court
sir.
reject
The court
ASI report.
gave its verdict on it
Babri
in the
Masjid
case of
case,
alimony. At
the
that time,
report
why
of
did you
ASI
say that
was
I am
put in
going
the
to go
dustbin.
only by Islam? Right now you are saying you will go by court. At
In the
that time you said
in
you
the
will go by
Babri
Islam.
Masjid,
The
everybody
court
knows
gave its
what
verdict.
ASI do.
The court gave its verdict on a
Everybody
lot
know
of
what
issues where
ASI
you
do,
said no, I am going to hold on to my personal law and my faith. So I am asking you, does your faith, respectfully, I am very respectfully asking you, sir, does your faith allow you to perform namaz where there is puja being performed? Does your faith allow you to desecrate a place
you
of
can do
worship
all the things, you can
and
do
go
all
ahead
the
and make
things
it a place of
forcefully.
ibadat? I am asking
अरे
you,
भाई,
sir, does
हर कुछ
Islam इसकी
आपका है,
इजाजत
every
देता है कि नहीं?
system
उसका
is
जवाब
yours,
आप दे नहीं
minister
रहे,
is
कोर्ट
yours,
उसका
prime
फैसला
minister
करेगा.
is yours.
And just the other
Mr.
day, sir, you
Anand,
were saying, and
आपकी
the
सरकार है,
AIMIM
आप
leaders
कुछ भी
were
कर
saying,
सकते
were
हैं.
saying as members of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board that the court does not understand Islamic personal law in Islam.
Anand,
So when it
Mr.
suits you, the
Anand,
court
आपकी
understands.
सरकार
When it suits
कुछ
you,
भी
the court
कर
doesn't
सकती
understand.
है.
मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ ना, मैंने आपसे पूछा कि
मिस्टर
क्या
आनंद, आपकी सरकार कुछ भी करा सकती है,
मेरी सरकार नहीं है
आपका
सर,
सरकार, आपका
मैं
पुलिस,
तो
आपका सिस्टम, आपका
मैं तो ये पूछ रहा हूँ कि इस्लाम किसकी इजाजत दे सकता है सर? इस्लाम क्या इजाजत देता है कि जहाँ पूजा होती है वहाँ नमाज पढ़ी? क्या जो जगह मंदिर है, जो जगह मंगलवार को मंदिर है, क्या वो शुक्रवार को मस्जिद हो सकती है? दूसरी बात सर, जहाँ पहले ही इबादत या प्रेयर हो रहा है किसी भी तरीके का, उसको तोड़ करके आप कुछ और बना सकते हैं? शाहिद अली,
मिस्टर आनंद,
1 minute आदिल जी, शाहिद अली.
Mr. Anand, first of all, I would like to say that the report has not been proven before the court as per law. So please do not presume the same to be true and correct or the gospel truth. So you have been giving finding, presuming the report to be true and correct. So your questions, all questions are based on the fact that as the report is true and correct. Undoubtedly, no namaz can be performed at a place where the deities or the gods or anybody's photos
where there is puja happening.
Now this has to be seen.
Yeah, where there is puja, but Shahid Ali,
whether the report is
every day, every week, sir, on Tuesdays there is puja and Friday, that's the agreement. Where Tuesday there is puja and Friday there is namaz offered.
Sir,
and the ASI report says that they would stop their study.
Don't worry, I will come to that.
They would stop their study when puja is happening. They would stop their study when yes, go ahead please.
Sir,
when
you
namaz
have
is
been saying that the report has come and you have shown the report to the public at large.
Yes.
By way of saying that the report is true and correct. Whether the report has been finalized,
I have not said
whether the report has been tested before the honorable courts,
the report
whether the report has been tested on such a stone of cross-examination.
My point is,
that is only the report, and we don't know whether the same is manifested.
Are you trying to say that there is no tomb of Abdullah Shah Changal at Dhar? Are you trying to say that there is no gateway of Abdullah Shah Changal at Dhar? Are you trying to say that there is no verse that claims the same, that here lies the man who violently destroyed idols and converted a temple to mosque? Please, let's go together and check it.
What you are saying, Mr. Anand, is this the way of conducting the debate? Once I am giving answers and you have been putting again questions. So please allow me to say something. Allow me to answer.
Yeah,
if I am not giving answer as per your wisdom or as per your likeness, then it does not mean that you will start speaking in between. Now your question is simply, Cedar, on the basis of a report, you have been saying whether namaz is allowed at a particular place where there are the pictures or the photos of deities and gods. This is your question. My answer to this is that the report has not been proven before the Honorable Court. The report has not seen the light of the day. The report is manufactured or report is manipulated. We don't know. That will be proved as per law before the Honorable Court as and when the finding would come. Whatever would be the finding, that will be agreeable, that will be obeyed and complied with by everyone. Whether they are the Hindus, they are the Muslims, so all citizens and not even the citizens, even the persons, everybody will abide with the report, with the direction of the Honorable Court. This is one aspect. The other aspect is that whether this is right or not to perform namaz on Tuesday, on Friday, and to perform this puja on Tuesday. That has been ordered by Honorable Court. So you have been raising a question upon the wisdom of Honorable Court. Can you?
Sir, that was a settlement.
Can you raise the question upon the wisdom of Honorable Court? I am putting a question to you.
That was a settlement reached by the two
Sir,
parties.
My
point is when the Honorable Court decided in favor of the Muslim Mahila and said that alimony must be paid and Guzara Bhatta must be paid, then why are Muslim entities saying this is against Islam? At that time, is the rule of the Honorable Court or the verdict of the Honorable Court being respected? Is the verdict of the Honorable Court being respected? No. So why are you questioning the wisdom of the Honorable Court? The wisdom of the Honorable Court. No, sir. Right now, Mr. Adil Hassan questioned the wisdom of the Honorable Court by labeling the ASI. By the ASI which was mandated, the ASI which was mandated to conduct the report was labelled and questioned. So who questioned the wisdom of the Honorable Court? Deshratan Nigam. Who is the person who is questioning the wisdom of the Honorable Court? Who is the person who is questioning the wisdom of the scriptures that define that no place of worship should be defiled or destroyed? Is that not mandated as per the scriptures of Islam itself, sir? And is it possible, sir, that where there is worship at the same prayers, there is prayer of two separate faiths who are polarized with each other? And Can the ASI manufacture an inscription that is more than nearly 900 years old on the tomb of Abdullah Shah Changal?
Yes, Anand, let me tell you, the scientific survey was a multidisciplinary one using GPR, GPS and deep penetrative radar studies, and those technology cannot distinguish between Hindu and Muslims. They are very objective and scientific, and therefore the survey which has come is to a naked eye also, and even anybody who can visit there and can clearly make out. This is the politics of convenience, that you deny sometimes and rely on Islam, and sometimes you do not rely on Islam, and therefore this convenience has to be given up. Now, secondly, people talk about Places of Worship Act, and you've rightly pointed out that under the Places of Worship Act, there is an exception in Section 4 itself, which says if the site or the monument is covered under the Ancient Monuments and Sites of the Ancient Monuments and Ancient Sites Act of 1958, that is an exception. Places of Worship Act will not apply. And what is the definition of ancient monument in that particular act? Is that any of this ancient monument in 1958 is more than 100 years old, it is an ancient monument, and therefore it is not covered under Places of Worship Act. This clear exception is given, but people will not admit it. People will not accept that position. Now, coming to this particular site, as pointed out Vishnu Shankar Jain and you also, paragraph after paragraph and visible to a naked eye. You can hide a history for a while, but it has its own way of coming out. Stones speak. The language of stones is such that it can demolish any narrative, fake narrative, which is being peddled and brought in front of the people on account of appeasement or narrative. So it is very clear.
The language of stones, the inscriptions are 900 years old. Then who here does not want samrasta, and who here does not want ekta? Who here has not said that something that has been destroyed, defiled and taken away violently?
हमारा ही कसूर निकलेगा.
Sir, all of these emotional statements are okay.
तुम ही मुंसिफ.
पत्थर बोलेंगे.
सब कुछ तो प्रेस ही हो गया ना आज की डेट में.
अरे भाई आप जाके देख लीजिए.
You are not willing, Mr. Shahid Ali. You are not willing, Mr. Shahid Ali, to respect the wisdom of the court, to respect the wisdom of your own brains, and also believe your own eyes. It's all there in Dhar. Go and see Abdullah Shah Changal and his tomb and the inscription. You can carbon date it. If you don't want to carbon date it, you can go back and look at the age of the basaltic age of the stones. 900 years ago it has been inscribed that this is what it said. Destroyed the effigies of idols, made this temple into mosque violently. My simple question is, sir, my simple question is, Shahid Ali, does Islam allow conversion of a temple into a mosque violently? Does Islam allow the conversion of a temple into a mosque violently?
Sir, I am asking you.
Does Islam allow,
about
sir?
the law of land.
Does Islam allow, sir?
Do you have courage?
Does Islam allow, sir? If you have courage, say it, sir. If you have courage, say it, sir. If you have courage, say it, sir. If you have courage, then say it here, sir, that the AIM PLB is wrong to challenge the decision of the two-judge bench of the Supreme Court, which allowed alimony to the Muslim woman. Say it. Don't challenge it then. If you respect the court, right? You respect the wisdom of the court, then respect it. Respect the wisdom of the court when it said that you cannot insist on making hijab mandatory in classrooms. Respect the wisdom of the court. Respect the constitution and say the constitution says men and women in this country are equal, all religions are equal, and all persons are equal under the eye of law. And that's why the common civil code is part of the directive principles. Say, I respect the constitution and this is what should happen. And sir, say, I respect Islam, and please ask me this question and answer this question. Does Islam allow the violent destruction of temple to create a mosque? Does Islam allow this, sir?
No, absolutely no.
It doesn't, sir. So in this inscription, it is said that this man destroyed idols, effigies of idols, and made this temple into a mosque violently. If this is what this is chronicled, then should there be prayer at this place? I leave you to that wisdom based on your own answer. I leave you to your wisdom and the wisdom of those who are trying to hold on to this act of violence, which is against the very scriptures that they claim to defend. That's what I'm saying. I've got to wind up, sir. I've got to wind up. When we come back, sir, we've got a big to our viewers. We've got a big exclusive coming through. Amrullah Saleh speaks to us here at CNN News 18. We broke this news first in 2023 and it's now been confirmed. Al-Qaeda chief Ayman al-Zawahiri was killed with the help of an insider from the Taliban back in 2021. CNN News 18 had reported this. We had put this out very clearly, and now the truth unravels. It was from within that he was betrayed. Stay with us.
Level of security. And I've been consistent in my direction of the Secret Service to provide him with every resource, capability, and protective measure necessary to ensure his continued safety. Second, I've directed the head of the Secret Service to review all security measures for the Republican National Convention, which is scheduled to start tomorrow. And third, I've directed an independent review of the national security at yesterday's rally to assess exactly what happened. And we'll share the results of that independent review with the American people as well. And finally, I'll be speaking more about this tonight at greater length from the Oval Office. We must unite as one nation. We must unite as one nation to demonstrate who we are. And so may God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, when you spoke to President Trump yesterday, what did you tell him and what did he tell you, sir? Mr. President,
shifting your campaign strategy, Mr. President, do you regret?
And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Back on with the CNN News 18 exclusive, ladies and gentlemen, and it's confirmation of a story that we broke back nearly a year ago. An American drone strike killed Ayman al-Zawahiri, key plotter of the 9/11 terrorist attacks in 2022. Now, he had taken over as the leader of the Al-Qaeda after Osama bin Laden's death and was at a safe house in Kabul. Zawahiri was number 2 in Al-Qaeda when the group conducted the September 11 terror attacks, and American officials considered him a central plotter. 2 years since al-Zawahiri was eliminated, some startling details are now emerging about how he was taken down. The US State Department confirmed this week that the Taliban is currently holding 3 of their citizens in their custody, including a man named Mahmoud Habibi. Now, he is key to unraveling the mystery of Zawahiri's killing and how it was orchestrated. Let's tell our viewers who Mahmoud Habibi is. Mahmoud Habibi is a US passport holder of Afghan origin and owned a Kabul-based telecommunications company. He was also the former deputy chief of Afghanistan's aviation authority. His company's office was in al-Zawahiri's neighborhood. The Taliban has so far refused to acknowledge that they are holding Habibi captive. They earlier confirmed that only 2 members are there. They never talked about this third, that is Habibi. But Americans believe that he was detained on 10th of August along with 29 other employees of the ARX Communications, the firm he owned. Taliban believes that Habibi's company was involved in the targeting of former Al-Qaeda senior leader Zawahiri. The US administration has made it public now, but CNN News 18 had told you this about a year ago. Afghanistan's former Vice President Amrullah Saleh, who spoke to News 18 exclusively from an undisclosed location last October, had his suspicions about Habibi and his role in Zawahiri's killing. In his first interview in almost 2 years to any publication around the world, Amrullah Saleh had told News 18 that there was an agreement between the US Central Intelligence Agency, or the CIA, and Pakistan's ISI and the Haqqanis on the Al-Qaeda. However, there was no discussion on the fate of Al-Zawahiri per se. He even detailed out how the US found Zawahiri. The Taliban had promised in 2020 Doha agreement on terms of US withdrawal from Afghanistan that they would not harbor Al-Qaeda members. But Al-Zawahiri stayed on in Kabul, in an area which was home to the foreign embassies and diplomats under the previous administration. Amrullah Saleh believed that then US went around the Taliban and found Zawahiri's location through Mahmoud Habibi. And according to Saleh, Taliban reached Habibi's firm and detained him. US is believed to be in secret negotiations with the Taliban over his release, but Habibi is a high-value hostage for the Taliban. Joining us now, live here on The Right Stand, former Afghanistan Vice President Amrullah Saleh. Mr. Saleh, namaste and thank you for joining us. First up, in October when we spoke, you had told us that Mahmoud Habibi is the man who killed Al-Zawahiri. Now the US has confirmed that. Your take?
When I spoke to you last year, I said that the United States was suppressing the details of the Al-Zawahiri killing and the whole story because the man who helped the United States get to Al-Zawahiri is in the Taliban custody. So the story you put out last year, which in a way United States is now confirming today, reveals several aspects. Aspect number one, the Taliban to this very date, they deny that Al-Zawahiri was killed. So today it is now publicly acknowledged that yes, Al-Zawahiri was killed and the man who helped the United States locate him is in our custody. Number two, it also shows that the United States diplomacy in regards to Afghanistan and in regards to a quote-unquote engagement with the Taliban on the question of counterterrorism is full of flaws, and it's not as straight as they are trying to say it is, or trying to convince the people it is. So that shows significant weakness of the Biden administration. The disclosure of identity of Habibi today is a massive slap on the face of Biden administration's counterterrorism policy. And the third aspect of this story is, you see, the Taliban are negotiating with United States for an exchange of prisoners, and also they have demanded a very hefty ransom. So the question arises, the United States has been paying $40 to $80 million to the Taliban per week. According to this is based on the secret annexes of the Doha agreement. So one has to ask this, in this situation, what are we seeing? Is the Taliban a geopolitical tool, a geopolitical instrument for some secret policy, for some secret project in the region? If they are not, then why the US is paying them $80 million a week? And in the meantime, the Taliban have the key collaborator against Al-Zawahiri in custody. This is complicated, and I think this is going to hurt Biden administration for very right reasons.
Well, the other aspect is about the involvement of the Haqqanis. This entire region, the Shirpur area, Mr. Saleh, isn't this the place where Sirajuddin Haqqani was staying with absolutely foolproof security, and Zawahiri was not so far away? So is it possible that the Haqqanis could have been involved?
You see, what I am saying is there is a reward money for Siraj Haqqani. And Siraj appeared, more public after the killing of Al-Zawahiri. Is he a collaborator with the CIA? All the circumstantial evidence and logical evidence suggest so, that he's a collaborator. And otherwise, how come they killed Al-Zawahiri? $1 million reward for his head. But they spare another guy whose worth is $10 million. I mean, according to the US Department of Justice or Department of State, I don't know. That aspect is not very important. The importance I attach to this whole developing story is the hypocrisy, the betrayal, the backstabbing of the Afghan people, and saying the collapse of the republic was due to corruption or etc., etc.
Right.
Whereas we are seeing right now that the US has recruited the Taliban as a secret ally. And this secret ally is fragmented in its ways of engagement with the US. Bits of it is in collaboration with Washington. Bits of this group is not fully in the picture.
Aligned to them, yeah.
But still, United States is subsidizing them with $40 to $80 million a week. That is where I'm fixated on. That what we hear about the Doha Agreement, the fact that it was the fault of the Afghan Republic, which did not embrace the process as it should have, that is an entirely falsehood. It's wrong. What is becoming clear that there was secret negotiations involving future collaboration between United States and the Taliban. It did involve counter-terrorism operations,
right,
particularly against groups which threaten the interest of the United States, not the interest of other countries in the region. That is very important. So the U.S. does not necessarily see regional terror groups as a threat to its national security or to its national interest in the region. So that is where I'm fixated. But I also want to reiterate that we were right. Our sources were right. Our access was real. And I want to thank your channel, CNN 18, for giving it the coverage at the time when it happened.
No, we thank you for your good words and kind words, Mr. Saleh. But do you think this Pak, Afghan, Taliban, America, are they still working together in Afghanistan? Because Bin Laden was kept there, most of the leaders were not aware, and suddenly one fine day the CIA comes and takes him out.
You see, let us call Project Extremism a project. I mean, radical groups and extremist groups have been pawns in the geopolitical game in the past 30, 40 years, to say the least. And Pakistan has been a hub for training, empowering, sponsoring these groups over the past 40 years. And within the society of Pakistan, you see the consensus is faltering. It's falling apart. There is a segment of the Pakistani society who are saying that this is not going to be a savior of Pakistan from massive problems we are facing. We should get rid of it, and Pakistan should become a responsible state. The fallout from sponsorship of radicalism and terrorism is too high and too costly for the society and for a state in Pakistan. But we do not see this voice being reflected in the views of the deep state and establishment in Pakistan. They still support extremist groups, and they are not attacking them as they should. So your question is right. I had a theory that how Al-Qaeda was to be dismantled, in a secret collaboration between CIA, ISI, and the Taliban. Is it still holding out? Right. I don't have fresh information, but I think it is not functioning as it was envisioned to function. Because when Al-Zawahiri was killed, then you have this spike of TTP attacks against Pakistan, and United States is not willing to assist Pakistan as the Pakistanis wish, because let's not forget that yes, United States betrayed the Afghan people and they backstabbed the Afghan Republic, but they also understand that over 2,400 Americans who were killed in Afghanistan, they were killed by IEDs manufactured with direct assistance from Pakistan Army. So they understand the hypocrisy and the double face of the Pakistan Army, and the type of warmth in their relationship which existed in 80s and 90s is not there.
It's not the same.
So we wish revelations like what we see in the media today will bring up one very major and important subject. That terrorism in all form and shape should be bad. We should get rid out of the era that there are good terrorists, bad terrorists.
You're very right, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been speaking about
Lashkar-e-Taiba is good, Taliban is good, but TTP is bad. They are all bad.
Yes,
so,
we can't have that. But Mr. Saleh, I just quickly want to ask you this. 1 year after CNN News 18 did the story, you spoke to us. There is finally, it's not just traction, some notice being taken. The world is recognizing this. Thank you for that. But do you believe it's better late than never?
Well, I mean, let me jokingly tell you, Jesus became Jesus 70 years after he was crucified. So sometimes it takes for the truth to come out late.
Fair point, Mr. Amrullah Saleh. Thank you for speaking with us. So nearly a year after we did the story, ladies and gentlemen, there is now confirmation that it was a betrayal from within that accounted for Ayman al-Zawahiri. What will this now do? Will this perhaps destabilize Taliban? Will there be further friction as far as the equation between these three nations, America, Pakistan, Afghanistan? Where is this all heading, and what does that mean for us in this region? Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow ORF with us. Sushantji, namaste. Your quick take on this. He was very convinced at that time, and now we could hear the "I told you so" from Amrullah Saleh, but he was very effusive in his praise for us as a network. But the fact is that it could not have been done without some inputs from within. Mahmood Habibi is the man. Many believe the Taliban are now holding him.
So yeah, Anand, when Ayman al-Zawahiri was taken out, there was reason to believe that the Americans got information from the inside, because for 20 years they were hunting this guy down and they were not able to get a fix on him. And in this particular case, within a couple of months couple of weeks actually, of the Taliban taking over, they were able to get rid of Ayman al-Zawahiri.
Correct.
So there was a lot of talk whether this was some kind of a bargain between the Taliban, some peace offering to the Americans, because Ayman al-Zawahiri was seen as somebody who was simply not ready to compromise, very hardline, and it was easy to get rid of him through the Americans. That was the conspiracy theory. But so while those suspicions were very much there, it was very difficult to understand or figure out who exactly might have leaked this. Now, some of this came out during the recent Doha negotiations, when the Taliban approached the Americans and said that, look, we have a couple of your hostages, so how about some kind of a hostage swap? And I think this kind of talk where they acknowledge, because everybody was a little surprised that which are these American hostages the Taliban are talking about, although they did not mention Habibi in that.
Yes,
it was the other
they mentioned
guys.
two. Yeah,
they were speaking about two guys, but but I think, that kind of led on to further revelations of what exactly was happening, behind the scenes. So clearly now we probably have got a good idea of who the guy was who gave this information out. But the Taliban have arrested him. So frankly, if they've kept him in custody, it means that they haven't really burned their bridges with the Al-Qaeda. And Al-Qaeda, although is not allowed or not given the space to do kinetic operations, the Al-Qaeda is carrying out its global propaganda, it is believed, sitting in Afghanistan. So that much is very much happening, and we all know about it. But beyond that, I think it is still shrouded in mystery. Do the Taliban will have problems going forward? We'll have to wait and see. There are also reports of problems within the Taliban ranks, though probably those are more political than anything else. Maybe a bit of a power struggle as well within the Taliban. But we'll have to wait and see whether, that's just something which is normal in any big organization, or it is something which will lead to, in the typical Afghan way, to very fractious kind of a relationship, and finally, some kind of an internecine warfare within the Taliban. So we'll have to wait and see how that figures out. But at the same time, the Taliban are also they've closed their ranks against the ISIS.
Yes.
Because the ISKP presence is there. The Taliban have made no bones about the fact that they will not countenance any kind of a challenge to their rule, which is what ISKP is doing. So they are going after them with a vengeance. And at the same time, they've kept some of the local groups like the TTP and all alive, because they actually give them leverage. If you have to keep the Pakistanis in line, then you have to play the game that the Pakistanis have played with so many countries. So they keep the TTP as a leverage, they give TTP space, they pull them back at times. So that is the kind of stuff which is happening in Afghanistan. The one point where I am a little confused when Mr. Saleh mentions about the $80 million or thereabouts, which the Americans, he claims, is giving to the Taliban. I wonder if this is part of the Taliban or the Afghan, foreign exchange reserves, which were in US banks. And then there was some kind of a deal which was worked out that half of it would be kept for reparations for people, who suffered during 9/11.
Right.
And the other half would be given under certain supervision to Taliban for humanitarian welfare. I would imagine that this is that money which is being given to the Taliban. I don't think this is any kind of an extortion money or some kind of, protection money. Paid to the Taliban. So that is very much underway. But I think at the end of the day, we'll have to wait and see whether the Taliban are willing to come down, from some of the very hardline stunts that they have taken.
Yes.
Unlike, it doesn't look likely right now. But if they don't do it, I think the American position, at least under the current administration, is that if the Taliban are not going to be ready to compromise on certain basic things, then, there's no way that they can be rehabilitated in the international community. But that is not stopping other countries, including India, from engaging with the Taliban.
Engaging with them, yeah.
So that's all.
Yeah, there was some trouble with their envoy here also, but China giving them official setting up the embassy and opening up diplomatic discourse and all of that. But I think, there is nearly 2 years since this whole Taliban takeover has happened. How much more time are they going to give them to try and become softer in their approach? We have to wait and watch. And what happens with this man, Mahmood Habibi? Sushant Sareen, thank you very much. We've got to wind up this edition of The Right Stand on that note. Thank you for watching. Stay with us. Brass Tacks with Zakir Jacob up next.
My fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors, we're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we're our fellow Americans. We must stand together. Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back, take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here. Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured. I spoke with him last night. I'm grateful. He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victims who was killed. Corey was a husband, a father, a volunteer firefighter, a hero, sheltering his family from those bullets. We should all hold his family and all those injured in our prayers. Earlier today, I spoke about an ongoing investigation. We do not know the motive of the shooter yet. We don't know his opinions or affiliations. We don't know whether he had help or support, or if he communicated with anyone else. Law enforcement professionals, as I speak, are investigating those questions. There is no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements. The stakes in this election are enormously high. Disagreement is inevitable in American democracy. It's part of human nature. But politics must never be a literal battlefield, or God forbid, a killing field. I believe politics ought to be an arena for peaceful debate, to pursue justice, to make decisions guided by the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution.
This is CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. I'm Zaka Jacob. History is repeating itself for Muslim women in India as the All India Muslim Personal Law Board has now decided to challenge the recent Supreme Court verdict, which happened last week, in favor of a Muslim woman's right to invoke Section 125 of the CRPC and claim maintenance after a divorce. The court had said that personal laws will not be above the claim of maintenance under a secular law like Section 125 of the CRPC. Just like in 1985, almost 40 years ago, after the famous Shah Bano judgment, again a Supreme Court ruling, this time too, once again, the orthodox, self-appointed